Hi, my beautiful queens and kings. It is your one and only Queen Dish here. So, how are you all doing? How is everyone doing? I hope you guys are okay. I know things are still. I don't know if we can say they're coming back to normal. I don't know because what's considered the new normal. But uh, the point is, I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you're not letting the negativity get to you. You know, for those of you who listen to my podcast or have listened to my podcast, you know that I mentioned not listening to the news before you go to bed, right? The only thing I asked in the past is that you not listen to the news before you go to bed, right? You don't want to take in any negativity before you go to sleep, right? Because your mind will take that in. So, with that being said, I hope you guys are just putting one foot in front of the other, just like I am. You know, life happens to all of us. Sometimes people, I think, forget that celebrities, influencers, you know, teachers, light workers, we're all human just like you, and life happens to us, just like everyone else. We don't get like a easy pass or an easy ride. Like life happens to us, just like everyone else. So, I just hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves, and really just putting one foot in front of the other. Yeah, and just doing your best amidst all the chaos in the world. But what came to me, and I'm thinking I'll probably do a podcast about it, because for most of you that follow me and know how I operate, I let the divine inspiration come to me, or the divine download, and sometimes I'll get like immediately do a Facebook Live. Sometimes I will get podcasts. So this time actually the Facebook Live is what kind of came up for me. So basically, in a nutshell, what kind of came up, which I guess I've been kind of seeing it, but I don't know, feeling it, um, and just conversations with other people. Um, it just seems like we'll say, energies change. Okay, energies change, and there's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. Um, However, it's life, right? Um, we should be growing. We should be growing. We should be evolving. We should be progressing and moving forward, right? So naturally, everyone is not always going to be doing that. They're not going to be moving forward, and they don't have any desire to, and that's fine, right? They're not wrong for that. You're not right, vice versa. It's just a personal decision that everyone gets to make. Okay. Um, and I had a conversation with someone today, and I told her, I was like, it came to me earlier to do a Facebook Live about this. So based on this conversation that we're having, it's clear I need to do the Facebook Live, because I'm just like, somebody has got to be a voice for it. Like this the same ish keeps happening or keeps coming up, and I'm not sure what it is, right? But it, so like I said, sometimes you can be growing and moving forward in your life, and the people that you're around are not, and that's okay. They are not wrong, right? We're not making them wrong, and we're not necessarily saying, oh, we're right because we're doing this and that, right? We're just at different places in our lives. It's a different consciousness is what I say. Like, we're on a different wavelength, right? My consciousness, my mindset, okay, my consciousness, is different. We're just on different wavelengths, and that's okay. But it's kind of like that quote that says you can meet people where they are, and then you can also leave them there, right? And you don't have to feel bad about that. So In terms of friends, right? In terms of friends, some of us, and we just have to be honest, we have to be real. My gift or my purpose is not to do the lullaby, okay? I'm not here to play an orchestra and do the lullaby. That's not the queen, not this queen, okay? Okay, we're very real and authentic, and we talk about what we need to talk about, okay? But the intention is love. It comes from a place of love. Sometimes we need tough love, but love nonetheless, okay? So friends, um, default. I say sometimes I believe that we all sometimes have people in our lives by default. Okay, it's by default. It's not necessarily because they're actually an asset. It's not because we're actually really of value to each other, or really, it's not even so much so that we converse. Oh, hi, happy holidays to you too. Um, it's not so much that we're. I, I mean, maybe we don't even have similar interests anymore. But it's kind of like they're there by default, right? You may have had a friend, your girlfriends, or even it could be a guy friend, right? But you've been friends, say, for 20 years. Maybe it's someone from high school, maybe it's someone from college, okay? But the space that you're in now is not the space that you were in when you guys first met, and started becoming really great friends or whatever. You're not in that space anymore. I'm almost 40, years young. um, and who I was at 20 years old and my thought process at 20 years old is different. It's different now than it was, at 20. It's different than it was when I was in college. So the people I may have met, for example, in college to where I'm at now, where I've grown to now, where I have evolved to now, we may not be similar, the same wavelength. We're not congruent anymore. And I believe that a lot of you are in that space. You're in that space because it's like, I don't know how to say it, but I guess the people who are kind of tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, and we just have that spiritual gift or that spiritual prowess somehow, we can feel it energetically. And the reality is, uh, having that friend there by default, in theory, that's nice. It's a nice thing to do. But in reality, whether are they really beneficial for you right now in the space that you're in your life? That's something you might need to check in with yourself about, because we all know about the law of association. You are who you hang around. You are who you hang around, right? There's no way to get around that. And if the people you're around aren't necessarily bringing you up and they're not really feeding you or pouring into you, or they're really just not any sort of positivity for you, I mean, why are they there? I mean, we just have to be real sometimes. Why are they there? I am for the assets only, in the form of people, right? Because that's what we're referencing right now. Assets in the form of people. How is this person an asset, right? Or are they a liability, right? And I'm not even talking about money because people are very quick to always think it's financial, and it's not, right? Some positive energy as opposed to negative energy, that has nothing to do with money. Somebody who is like a negative Nancy all the time, or like downing David, right? He's a well, no, it's Debbie Downer. So like David Downer, right? Or Doug Downer. Okay, that's not good for you. Someone who's negative all the time, complaining all the time, calling you about the same issues, you know, they've been calling you about the same issue, sounding like a broken record year after year after year. And I'm sure for some of you it's tiring. And it's like, when are you going to get it together? Like, when are you going to get your life together? You know? But it's like, I know some of us feel like that's my homegirl. She's, 20 years, 10 years. Heck, it can be 5 years. I'm just putting out times, right? Same thing for the guys. Like, your homeboy, 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. Okay. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Again, in theory, but in reality, where you're at now in your life and where you plan to go, okay, as far as growth, evolving and progressing in your life, where you are and where you plan on progressing to, is that the right person for you? Is that the right person for you? Are they just there by default? You know, I'll say this. There are people that have best friends, right? Whether it's the same sex or of the opposite sex, right? Because you have women who have best friends that are guys. You have guys that have best friends that are women. Cool, right? The point, it doesn't matter. If you have a best friend, there are some people that have best friends by default. But this is a best friend that they don't talk to, they don't visit, they haven't seen them in who knows how long. I mean, I don't know. Everybody has a different definition of what a friend is to them, right? So this is not right or wrong, right? Um, I just want you to think about whether the people that are in your life, like, are they really your friends? Or, are they just kind of there by default because you don't really want to say anything? You're trying to be nice, especially to my ladies, 'cause I know how we're conditioned. Are you trying to be nice? You don't want to say anything. Oh, or just kind of keep them there. But really, having them there is exactly why you haven't moved forward, because of that energy that you won't let go of, right? Are they there by default? Are they just there by default as opposed to um, right, or just or just someone you know. Right, same thing. Right, it doesn't even have to be a best friend. There are people, excuse me, in our lives by default, and a lot of times for the women especially, we because of how we're conditioned, we don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to say anything. We just want to keep the peace. I'm guilty. Um, we want to keep the peace, and the unfortunate thing about that is it's going to have an effect on us. How we do anything is how we do everything. How we do anything is how we do everything. And if we're trying to move forward in our lives, we're trying to get to that next level, whatever that may be, right? If we're trying to move forward and we are afraid to let go of the very Debbie Downers and David Downers that are kind of holding us back, then how do you expect to really get to where you're trying to go? You're going to think of all this dead weight that you're carrying, or all the dead weight that you have on your back as you're trying to move forward, because, you've got all this negativity, all these toxic people, the people that are there by default, right? Because you don't want to say anything, but mm-mm, I'm the queen and I'm giving you permission. If I get the download, from above to give to you and you're listening to me, it's probably because you're one of the people that needs to hear this. I'm human just like you. I have to do the work. The work is ongoing. It never stops. Personal growth and personal development never stops. Okay. Doing the work on ourselves, on myself, it never stops, you guys. So I am in this with you. Trust me. I am in this with you. And I was telling her earlier who I was speaking to, I was like, it just seems like I'm feeling like the energy's changing, and it just seems like everybody is in a space where they're having to kind of they're starting to really see people for who they are, or they're starting to really be honest with themselves about certain people in their lives, for example, and how they've been taken advantage of, or how, they've just they've been letting them manipulate them, take advantage of them. They've been letting them, use them. And it just seems like maybe now certain people are starting to kind of wake up and really see it. Um, and so, I just told her, I said, listen, honey, you don't have to save anyone. And I tell you all too, I said it on the podcast, like, you're not required to save people. I'm not required to save you. I may be a conduit. I may be a voice. I may be one of your messengers per se, right? I get something to give to you all, but I'm not here to save you. Like, I can give you a message, and what you choose to do with it is up to you. I can tell you to I suggest that you think about, your friends and your circle and who's in your circle. And whether these people are benefiting you or they're not benefiting you. If you choose to listen to that, great. But if you don't, okay. But then when you still have all this negativity and the toxicity around you and you're not moving forward for that very reason, okay. I mean, well, what do you expect? Like, I'm not here to save you. And that's what I told her. You're not required to save her. That's not your job. That's not your job. That's not my job. I'm telling you, that's not your job. Yes, you are to use your gifts and talents for the greater good of humanity. Okay? Your voice, your gifts, whatever it is for you, you should be using your gifts and talents for the greater good of humanity, right? But you can't save people. Like, that does not equate to saving people. Okay? What people choose to do with the information that you give them is up to them. But it's your job to simply give the information, right? God, the universe, the divine, whatever it is that you call that, the God given gifts and talents that you were given, you give that. How they receive that and what they do with it after that, that's up to them. But you did what you were supposed to do, and that's the main thing. Okay? So that's all I told her. I said, honey, you can't save her. That's not your job. That's not your job. And that is something that I am so grateful that, I finally have been honestly really, really like kind of putting my foot down on. Because I'm 100% guilty. I keep it real with you guys. Listen, I'm on this journey with you. Woo! Yeah, I am on this journey with you. And you learn a lot about yourself. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're just always learning and growing and moving forward, right? You're doing the inner work. Okay. So, having the friends there by default, if those people are not really doing anything for you, um, it's a decision that you have to make. It's a decision that you have to make. It's not easy, but everyone has to do some self inventory at some point. You've got to do the self reflection. You have to look at yourself, right? Imagine looking in a mirror. You're looking at yourself, and you've got to be thinking about the things that you're accepting. You've got to think about the things that you're allowing, the things that you've been tolerating. Who are you around? Who's lifting you up? Who's bringing you down? Who, as soon as you hear your phone ring and you see their name, you feel anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be honest. Like, you feel anxiety as soon as you see their name pop up, or if it's a text message and you see it and you're like, oh God. I mean, we may laugh, but we need to think about these. We need to think about these things because they're indicators of, okay, if you really stop and take a moment, like, okay, wait a minute. When this person's name popped up on my phone, I immediately started to cringe. Why? Why? You need to ask yourself that, right? You We need to start being honest with ourselves about our lives and our circles and where we are and what we want to do and whether or not certain people are on the same wavelength with us where we're at, right? You can't take everybody with you. You just can't. It's a hard pill to swallow, I know, but you can't take everybody with you, and you're not supposed to rescue people, and you can't be everyone's savior. Like you just can't. And you don't deserve, to have people manipulating you and using you and only calling you when they need something. You No, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. And if you put your foot down, rightfully so, okay? Which, based on what happened, yeah, I was like, I don't feel any kind of way about what the decision that she made. No, because she was basically being manipulated. No, honey. I told her, I said, listen, there's I forgot how the quote goes, but it's I've posted it before, and it is something to the effect of, once you increase your self-love, or as you're increasing your self-love, and you start, putting your boundaries up, or having boundaries, right? Increasing your self-love, recognizing your worth, even as men too, okay? But you start recognizing your worth, there's certain things you're not going to tolerate anymore. And the people who were benefiting from your lack of boundaries, okay, the people who were benefiting from your lack of self love, right, those are the people who are going to have a problem. Those are the only people that are going to have a problem. Because if those people are for you, right, the people who are for you, that want the best for you, that are for you, right, they wouldn't have no issue with the fact that you've increased your self love, and you've recognized your worth and value. And, so yeah, you're not tolerating certain things anymore, right? They don't have a problem with that. The only people that have a problem are the people that can't use you anymore. I mean, duh. Those are the only people that have a problem. The people that can't manipulate you anymore, the people that don't have control over you anymore, right? Ego, they don't have control over you anymore. They can't use you anymore. So, of course, they have a problem. The users, abusers, the takers, the manipulators, leeches, those are the people that have a problem. So as I said, listen, honey, you can't save people. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I think a lot of us need to do um, another self another self assessment, or self reflection, a self evaluation, because we're human, and sometimes we just don't want to be honest about things that are literally right in front of our face. um, but the truth will always manifest itself. The truth will always manifest itself. So the friend that may have been using you, or manipulating you, who has been manipulative to get what they want, that truth will manifest itself. I'm telling you. Some people don't believe in karma. Fair enough. I believe in cause and effect. Okay. I can say karma, but cause and effect. Cause and effect. um, I got that from Oprah, and I stand by it. She said you don't have to worry about getting people back and revenge and all that, because there's such a thing as cause and effect. What goes around comes around, karma. Some people don't like to use the word, as certain words, of course, we know have negative connotations, but there's such a thing as cause and effect. Okay. So yeah, the people who were only there for a certain reason, that truth will manifest itself. And when it does, I just suggest you all be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, my queens and kings, because we will ask for the answer. We will pray about something, ask, our higher power, whatever it is that you call that, for clarity, for answers, and we get the answer. Oh, we get the answer. But I think sometimes we don't want to believe that someone close to us, or someone we know very well, we don't want to believe that they would do that. We don't want to believe that, they have it in them to do us wrong. We don't want to believe that, but sometimes, oh, it's right there in front of our face. It is. It's right there in front of our face. Okay, uh, but having friends there or people in our lives by default, um, when in reality they don't really serve a purpose anymore. That's something you guys have to do on your own. You're gonna have to ask that within yourself to see what comes up for you. Um, but I'm telling you, if you ask the question, you're gonna get that answer. You're gonna get the answer, and when you get the answer, unfortunately, it may surprise you who it turns out to be. Sometimes it's closer than you think. People who you would never in a million years think, but you will get the answer. And unfortunately, when it's the people or the person who you would never think, that does not take away the fact that it is the truth and it is the answer, okay, for what you asked. It's the answer to the prayer, it's the answer. You asked and you got the answer. Just because it's somebody who you never thought it would be does not take away from the reality that the truth is this is a person that is not serving you any purpose anymore. In this space in your life, they're not serving a purpose. They're there by default. They're by default, and I love you guys, and we're all on this journey together, and we deserve the best. We deserve really good people, genuine people. We deserve reciprocal friendships. We deserve reciprocal relationships, right? We deserve people that we uplift, but they also uplift us. We deserve people that have our best interests at heart as much as, we have their best interests at heart. Reciprocal, reciprocal. Okay, we deserve that. You're not wrong for wanting that. You're not wrong for wanting that. Okay, not at all. You're not wrong for wanting people in your life that give to you as much as you give to them. Reciprocal, right? I am very intentional. Yeah, I'm paying attention to my thoughts, all of that. I'm paying attention to, what I'm saying to myself as much as possible because, I'm human, but I'm paying attention to what I say, how I'm thinking, and I'm intentional about reciprocal friendships and relationships because I'm tired of like being the smartest person in the room, for example. That analogy. I love what I do. I love what I've been given per se. As far as gifts and talents and all that. But sometimes it has seemed like it's me. And at the end of the day, while that's great and wonderful, I'm a person too, just like you are. And if I'm doing that for you, who's doing that for me? Like who's pouring into me in the way that I'm say pouring into you, right? Or pouring into those people. So it's not like it's a bad thing at all. But do I deserve that? Do I deserve for people to pour into me too? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to apologize for that. And you shouldn't either. We deserve that, you guys. Like, no, we're not supposed to always be the smartest person in the room. We're not supposed to be, the one that, oh, it's kind of like the strong friend. You're the strong friend, always there, and then of course no one ever checks on you. And it's crazy. There's no one ever checks on the strong friend. It's crazy, but that's the friend that's like there for everybody. And sometimes that person, would drop everything, to be there for someone or to help someone. But when the time turns around, when it turns around for them to be there, crickets. Crickets. And that's not cool. That's not cool. Um, so I make no apologies. I am normally I have my books. Dang. Yeah, normally I have my books, but I'm the author of Queens Don't Settle, and I'm also the author of Kings Don't Settle. They are books that complement each other. So I am for both of you. My queens, of course, heart space, but I am also apparently here. God gave me Kings Don't Settle. So apparently I'm also here to help in some way with empowering the men. because men shouldn't be settling either. You got the men shouldn't have, all their homeboys that are just constantly taking from them. No. Every time something goes, they're constantly calling you, but the minute you need something, you can never get help, or you can never reach out to that same person who's constantly calling you all the time. Like, that's not cool. We're not teenagers. Like, we're not teenagers. No, we're not 18, 19 anymore. No, most of us are older, we're mature, and that's not cute anymore. That type of behavior, it's not cute anymore. Absolutely. Totally only seasonal. Seasonal. Everyone is not supposed to be in our lives for our entire lives. Everyone sometimes comes in just for a reason, for a season. And you got to have, like Bishop T.D. Jakes said, you've got to have the gift of goodbye, honey, and keep it moving. Like, they're not supposed to be there. So having these people by default there, it's not serving you. And I was going to say it might be serving them, but like, it's not serving you. It's not serving you, and you have to have the right energy around you. You absolutely do. You have to have the right energy around you. You deserve to have the right energy around you and the right people around you. And so that can only happen if you're willing to be honest with yourself about the people in your circle now. Who you've been entertaining, what you've been tolerating, what your definition of friendship is, right? Sometimes you do just need to have a conversation with someone. Sometimes you need to communicate much better, or, you guys need to communicate in a way that you both understand each other's needs, but are we doing, are we doing leeches anymore? No. Are we doing, letting people get the best of us, and we're just constantly taking from ourselves and never filling our cup up to fullness? No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. Life is too short. And you guys know, I'm still dealing with grief, and a lot of stuff has surfaced for me as well, in all the things that I've had to process in dealing with it. And you just realize that life is short, and it's like, life is too short to be dealing with foolishness and low vibrational people, low vibrational thinking, low vibrational, like, everything, really, honestly. Like, no, my queens, my kings, we're not doing that anymore. It is what it is. But with that being said, I really hope that you all do your self assessment, do the internal check in with yourself. Take another look at your circle. Are there people there that are they're there by default? They're there by default, not really serving a purpose. Like, you've outgrown them a long time ago, honestly. They're just kind of there, you know, but maybe you just don't want to say anything. You're trying to be nice. You're trying to be a good guy, trying to be a good girl. You don't want to ruffle any feathers, don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I get it. Um, and sometimes you don't necessarily have to say anything, because as you're moving forward, your higher vibration and the higher energy, that next level that you are rising to within yourself, will automatically cause those people to fall by the wayside. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything, because as you keep ascending higher and higher, the people that are no longer, in that place, in that space, on that frequency, they won't be able to be there. They're going to feel some type of way. It's just an automatic thing. You're up here, they're still down here. Incongruent, completely incongruent. So they will naturally fall by the wayside. However, sometimes you might have to have a conversation. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you might have to have a conversation. And of course, I expect you all to do it tactfully, diplomatically, right? King behavior, queen behavior, right? I expect you all to handle yourselves maturely, and have the conversations with who you need to have a conversation with. But um, Absolutely. Please don't. Oh God, don't be naive. Like, don't be naive. I mean, like I said, most of us, I venture to say, we know. We know. And you just don't want to be a bad person. You don't want to come across any type of way, or to be looked at any type of way, especially when we live in a society where everyone wants to be liked and use that instant gratification and how many likes did I get today? And you know, is that really important if you think in the context of your soul and your energy and your aura and your entire being? Is that really important? No. Having the right people in your life and the right energies, that's a little bit more important than all these likes from people you don't even know. You don't even know. And really, some of the people, they're not they're not even supporting you, honey. They're just watching. They're just watching. They're just watching. And I tell you how I know, because so many times people have come back, say, I'll just say inbox me, and said thank you for something that you posted. And I'm thinking, I've never once seen this person like any of my stuff, ever. So I would never think that they were, watching, or that they would know anything that I posted. But trust me, if something that I haven't learned, people are watching. People are watching. They may not be liking your posts. They may not be commenting, but trust me when I tell you, people are watching. And some of them are watching, they're watching, although they're haters. Right? We have to call a thing a thing. They're there. They're just watching to kind of, you know, be a hater. But it is what it is. They're not always there because they actually support you. Um, they're just watching. Yeah, they're just watching. I'm gonna leave it at that because yeah, there's other stuff I could say, but we're gonna leave it at that. They're just watching. But yes, people are definitely watching. Yeah, because someone recently told me like, "Oh, honey, I stalk your I stalk your social media," and I'm thinking like, really? Because again, I've never seen the person like really anything or comment ever. But they do admire me, so it wasn't bad. But I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, in a society that we live in where people are just wanting to be liked so much, you're looking for those likes, but all those likes don't necessarily mean they really, truly support you. Some people are just kind of watching. They're trying to see what you're doing, what your next move is going to be, jealousy, envy, haterade. It's there. It exists. It exists. I'm not going to speak too much about it, but it is there. It's there. I'm gonna leave it at that. But friends by default is really the message that I was given. Or default friends, and really the importance of all of us taking a look within ourselves, um, and looking, in our circles, who we're around, who we're talking to. Like I said, when the phone rings, or even if it's just a text message, and you see the person's name, and all of a sudden, like you feel something, you feel something in your heart, or you feel anxiety, or you start to cringe, like, mm, pay attention to that. Pay attention to that, because to me, that's not good. That's not good. If you are constantly anxious about certain people, constantly feeling like something heavy maybe in your heart or in your chest, um, when you see a person's name come up, I would take a deeper look at that, you guys, because there's signs like that's an answer. If you pray or meditate or whatever it is that you do to, reach out to your source, to get the answers that you need. Okay. And an answer to, say, your prayer about someone comes in the form of, you get the phone call and like you feel your whole chest like start to get tight. That could be an answer. Like, that's an answer. If you ask the universe, the divine, again, whatever it is that you call that, If you ask the divine about a certain person and you're like, can you give me a sign as to whether or not this person is right for me? Do they have my back? Anything of something like that. And the next time that you get a phone call or a text message from that person and you feel your whole chest start to tighten up, that might be an answer. That's probably an answer. Like, you guys, it doesn't always have to be like a meteor has to fall from the sky to be a response, right? To be an answer. The answer could be very subtle, but it's the answer nonetheless. The answer to your prayer, right? It can come in different ways. It's not always a big, huge, like kaboom. Sometimes it's very subtle. It's very subtle. And it's something as small as, hmm, damn, this person called. I felt some type of way. I wasn't happy when I saw their name come up on my caller ID. That could very well be the answer to your question, right? Just something for you to think about and take a deeper dive into. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, honey. I believe in energies. I am very much into spirituality. I sage every Sunday. It is a weekly thing. I got to get all the negativity out of my space. Like, I very much believe in energies. And so yeah, like, you can feel it. You can feel it. Trust me. If you're getting anxiety and anxious and if your chest is getting tight every time you talk to somebody, that might very well be an indicator. Okay? That might very well be your sign. And don't deny that. Don't deny that. I think, like I said, most times that answer is there. We get the answer, but we just choose to ignore it. We choose to ignore it because it's like, oh no, it can't be them. No, no, it can't be. Oh no, they would never do that. No. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes. Everyone is not happy for you. Okay. Everyone is not happy for you, male or female. Everyone is not happy for you. Okay. I 100% real and authentic with you guys. I just, let's see, maybe today, December, maybe a couple of weeks ago, something came to me about um, women and competition, and how I'm pretty. I would just say that I finally had to face like my truth. I had to really face myself because I felt like I don't come from that space. Um, I don't operate like that. I don't come from that space. I wasn't raised like that. Um, and so I don't have all of this. I don't know. I don't have like a competitive nature like that. I don't. Yes, I competed in pageants, pageant queen. Oh, okay. But I don't have that like competitive spirit like that. I just don't. And I don't feel, I don't know, insecure. I don't feel a certain type of way if another beautiful woman walks in the door. Right? Okay, great. I'm gonna be like, okay, who is that other queen? Or like, my first thought is not to put her down or think something negative about her. Like, I don't operate like that, you guys. So that I would just say I had to face myself and some truths about who I am, and because of who I am, unfortunately, sometimes what the reactions that I get. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, just a couple weeks ago, no lie, no lie, and I was like, okay, God, I got it, I got it. Like, okay. So I tell you guys stuff. I when I say I'm on this journey with you all, I mean that, because the personal growth and development never stops. It never stops. Doing the work, it never stops. So having people there by default, when in reality, they're not serving you any type of purpose, really. They're just kind of there. Um, be honest with yourself about it. And, you probably need some new energies around you, need some new people in your life, in other words. And so don't be afraid to venture out and make new friends. I know that clearly making friends as an adult is very hard for some reason. But um, at least if you have the right intention and you're putting in the effort, like something has to manifest from that. Okay. Um, yeah, something has to manifest from that. So get intentional. Get intentional. If you really start to be honest with yourself, take a look around. Okay, I need some new people because clearly, you're really not serving a purpose at all. Then do that. And you can go to meetup.com. Um, I know for the women, I don't know if they do it for the men, but I know at least for the women, there's that Bumble BFF app. So that's two things right there. You've got meetup.com, which is free. And when you go on Meetup, you pretty much just put in like your zip code. I suggest always doing at least a 20-mile radius, and you pretty much can search by like women's social or men's social because they have them as categories. And just at least 20 miles, at least a 20-mile radius, and then you put in your zip code and then you hit search, and then you'll see all these different groups, and then you can figure out which groups like you want to join, and boom, you start putting in the effort to start meeting new people in the areas or that have similar interests. And then on Bumble BFF, well, it's an app. It's the same Bumble dating app, but it's just the BFF side for the ladies. So, I mean, unfortunately, with that, it's just kind of like dating. But you just have to sift through, and hopefully, you can meet some ladies that way. For people that are entrepreneurs like myself, we have different organizations that we can join depending on what your interests are and what you do. That's another great way to meet people, professional associations, organizations, but you need to meet some new people, okay? You need to meet some new people. We just need to be more intentional about it and be serious. Get serious about, what's going on in our lives. Because if we're in denial, nothing's going to change, you guys. If you're in complete denial, nothing is going to change. Okay, you have to face yourself. You got to face yourself at some point and what's going on in your life, what you have been accepting, what you've been tolerating, what you've been settling for, okay, what you've been allowing, how you've allowed people to treat you, how you've been manipulated, for example, how you've been used, and how certain people have tried to make you feel guilty about that. Like, we've got to face ourselves, and we just need to get to the root of the problem and really figure out, okay, where did this come from within myself? Why did I allow this to happen? Why? Okay. Why did I let her do that? Why did I let him do that? What was going on within me that made that okay? Right? You've got to do that. You've got to do the check in. You've got to check in with yourself to figure out the root of where that came from. Okay. That's what doing the work is about. Okay. You've got to do the inner work. You cannot escape it. People are wondering why certain things are going on and happening in their lives, but you're not checking in, you're not doing anything to figure out the root of the problems. Okay, that's where the personal growth and personal development comes in. And unfortunately, to my queens, like, I don't understand why you guys aren't doing that. Like, all these ladies out here that I'm hearing are looking for new friends and you want to meet ladies, and yet the ladies aren't showing up. You ladies aren't showing up. You're not coming out. Like, those two don't go together. You can't say you want a new bestie, you want a new girlfriend, and you never come out to anything. Like, ladies, like, what is going on with that? I don't know what it's like for the guys, but I can only speak for the ladies, and that's what I'm getting. Like, we're trying to meet other ladies and create new friendships, and yet you'll RSVP for something and then you don't show up ever. Like, what's going on? Where does that come from? Like, you're saying one thing, but then your actions are another. Like, you can't, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. So you've got to do the work on yourselves, ladies, to figure out what's going on with you. Like, if you don't want new friends, cool. But don't say that. Don't say that. Okay. A lot of us, we say things that sound good. It sounds good. But in reality, our actions don't align at all. And really, that's for anything. And we're all guilty of that. Like, we can talk a good game. We can say we want this and we can say we want that. Our actions, there's no alignment. Our actions don't align to that. Okay, so I don't know what that is. But all I will say in regards to that is, to the ladies, keep stay on the app. I guess if you're on the Bumble BFF app, but with the meetup groups, or however it is that you are planning on meeting other women, for example, just stay and stick to that. Mm, Possibly. What I'm getting is that people are just flakes. Like, people are just flakes. That's what I'm getting. Um, it's one thing if you do that, once or twice, but when you're consistently not showing up, there's something else there. Um, Maybe you don't really want that, and that's fine. But just be honest with yourself about that. Just be honest with yourself. You know, my thing with that is, you're saying one thing, but you're completely doing another, right? Like, it just doesn't work. For someone to be nice enough to, for example, host a dinner based on the feedback, that she got, and she decides to host this nice dinner and nobody shows up, like, that's kind of grimy. That's kind of flaky. I mean, that doesn't sit well with me, because I'm like, I don't even understand how that's possible. Like, and I said, well, um did they kind of come back and, say, hey, I'm so sorry? And she was like, no. I mean, how do you just flake out like that? I mean, I don't know. So I don't know. We are definitely living in some different times. Um, but I would just say to the ladies, hold on, again, based on what you're putting out, and if you continue to show up, no, that is rude. It's very rude. Oh, that's very rude. I was about to curse. It's very rude. Like, I don't get that. That's just, ooh, yeah, that doesn't work for me. That kind of behavior, that doesn't work for me. Like, just be decent. I think something we're missing in our society is, like, common decency, to just say, hey, I can't make it. Like, that takes how long to do? Hey, sorry it's the last minute, but I can't make it. Like, I can respect that. Even, unfortunately, it might be last minute, but I can at least respect someone that has the decency to say, hey, I can't make it. But if you're constantly not showing up, that's a issue to me in and of itself. But then if you add the fact that you don't even have the decency to say anything ever, like, that's a double whammy. Like, I wouldn't mess with you. Like, you're done. No. And that's what I'm saying. We're with my intention for my queens and my kings, vibrating higher, in other words, vibrating higher, not settling for low vibrational behavior like that anymore. Finally, or, just coming to an awareness within ourselves that we deserve better. And if there are people that are not honoring us, in the way that we deserve to be, that it's okay to just let them fall by the wayside, or if we need to have a conversation with them, have the conversation and then be done. Be done. And we don't have to feel guilty about that. Okay? Because, again, everyone's not here, not meant to be with us for the entire lifetime. Sometimes it's just a season. Once they, you know, have done their part, we've done our part, we're done. You know, our part in their story is over. Their part in our story is over. And that's all it was supposed to be, was for a season. You know, you take the lesson and you keep it moving. But just having these people there kind of lurking, kind of in the background by default when they're not really bringing any positive energy to the table, like at all. They're not really bringing anything positive at all. That's not really benefiting us. And so I just love you guys, and I want you guys to love yourselves enough and be empowered to make the kind of decisions that you need to make for yourself, to make sure that you have the right people around you, and that you are putting yourself first. Okay, putting yourself first. Okay. But anyhow, coming up to my hour, because that's how long I have on my podcast. Um, I'll probably do the podcast right after this Facebook Live. But that is the download that I got earlier. It was about friendships and like default friends by default, and people just people that I don't know swear they're looking for friends or new people, and yet like they're just flaking out on people and not showing up. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. So like I said, to the ladies who are really looking for that, um, just continue to put in the work, put in the effort, because like I said, something has to manifest from that. What we focus on expands. What you focus on expands, and if that's your intention and you really do want that, it will come. It will come. Don't let the flakes, kind of derail you from your goal of having some new girlfriends, for example. Don't let the flakes and the rude people kind of be speak for the rest of all of us, because all of us are not like that. I promise you, we are all not like that. We are all not like that. Not flakes, and we're not rude like that. Some of us are still decent people in this world, as crazy as it is. So don't let that kind of take you away from what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. Um, but I love you guys. I absolutely love you guys. And, you know, I only kind of do this when something comes to me, because I believe in authenticity. I'm just not going to get on here for shits and giggles. I'm not going to do that. So I will record the podcast after this. The podcast, of course, is Queens Don't Settle. It is Queens Don't Settle, which is the same title as my books, or as one of my books, Queens Don't Settle, a book of poems to empower women. And then you have the complement to that book, which is Kings Don't Settle, a book of poems to empower men, both of which are available on Amazon. Queens Don't Settle podcast. The podcast is on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and something else. Oh, iHeart. It is on iHeartRadio, and it's on Amazon now. Okay. So anyway, I thank you guys. I thank you guys, my tribe, my loyal fans and supporters. I love you guys. I love you guys. I'm here for you, and anytime I get something, I will certainly do my part and give you what I'm supposed to give you, whether that's a Facebook Live or the podcast. But anyhow, I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of your health. Definitely mentally, emotionally, everything. I believe in a holistic approach, mind, body, and spirit. So align, make sure you are aligning mind, body, and spirit, taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And take a look at those default friends, and see who the heck you need to give a boot to make sure that you make space for more of the right energies. You want the right energies around you, okay? Because you deserve that. We deserve that, okay? But anyway, I love you guys. Have a good night, and I will talk to you guys the next time I get something to give to you all. All right? Mwah. I love you guys. Good night.